Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. The most annoying part about having to do that big pond job, besides all the work, is that I had to take a break from doing this build. I actually was really looking forward to putting this together, but there's no way I could do it any justice and do all the work I needed to do for the pond, so I had to take a break. Now, in the interim, you guys left lots of comments, and I found that pretty much most of the interest was in either doing the sponge or the water wheel, and that's actually understandable because actually those are the two most interesting ones. If I can find some corrugated fabric, hard fabric, I will also do the other build. I haven't had a chance to look for it yet, but I'm definitely going to do these two. So I'm going to start off obviously here with the sponge, and then I'm going to move on. Next Wednesday I'll do the water wheel, and you guys can pick which one you like the best. So the sponge I could get a hold of easily. Unfortunately, it was nowhere near long enough to go all the way around, so I had to cut it and trim it to size, obviously first for going around the wheel, and then I had to cut it so that it would make it all the way around for starters, but I wanted the two joints, the two parts where I'm siliconing them together, to be on opposite sides of the wheel. That way, I mean, the silicone is really not going to be too much weight. It's, relatively speaking to the fabric, it is a little, the sponge I should say, it is a little bit of weight. But once this is filled with water, saturated, it's going to be negligible, I suspect. But I didn't want any other variables in this. I want it to be as smooth as possible. So it was simple matter just to make sure that I cut it so that it was, like I said, on opposite sides. It was no real extra effort, so it obviously just made sense to do it that way. What I'm doing here is just trying to figure out a little simple clamping system just to hold it in place while it cures. I just don't want it to separate. What I'm going to do, like after I've done this, I haven't done this before, so I thought I would, when I did the first joint, it was obviously laying flat, so it was pretty easy to do. And this one here, I just want to make sure, like I said, it doesn't come apart during the curing process. And if there's a gap or a twist or something, it just won't run smoothly. And I definitely don't want that sort of issue coming up. So this is just a simple matter of smearing some silicone on both sides. And I didn't want to put too much on. Again, of course, just to make sure that, I don't want extra variables. So I keep the weight down as much as possible. And because the silicone is actually not gluing to the sponge, which may sound kind of weird, all it's doing is it's just going into the holes, and then after it cures, you can't really pull it out. So, and then what's going to do is this is going to adhere to itself, which makes a really solid joint, which is all I really care about, and hopefully a lightweight one. Like I said, I haven't done this before, but it should work quite well. I mean, the first joint I did was quite solid, and it was, like I said, it was kind of the test for this. And then so this should be perfectly fine. And cutting to size obviously is quite straightforward as well. So what I'm going to do here, well, actually, while you watch me do this, is obviously I can't build two of these because I don't have the materials for it. So I am going to set this up, and I'm going to run it. And then what I'm going to do is, on Wednesday, I am going to obviously take this apart because I haven't glued anything together besides the sponge. And I'm going to put the water wheel together, and I'm going to run that as well. And then between those two videos, you guys are going to make comments and let me know which one you want me to run long term. Unfortunately, I can only do one of the two or three, depending on how it goes. If I find a source for that material and can get it here in time before next Friday's video, I will do that one as well. But most likely it's going to come down to these two. And I do want to run one of them long term. But the thing is, like I said, I can't build another one of these. And I don't think it's going to be really necessary. If I can find enough materials and enough time, I will try putting another one together, and we can do a side-by-side comparison. But I just want to get this up and running to start off with and have it run and then see from there. Also, definitely leave comments below. Let me know what you think, because I try and accommodate as much as I can. I mean, I only have so much time for all these builds, but if time allows, I will, and if I have the materials, of course, I will try and let both these run long term. So there you go. It wasn't too hard to set up, and it'll just sit and cure overnight now. And like I said, this is actually kind of cool. Like I said, I hadn't done this before. But it worked out really easy, and also quite a firm glue up. So that's kind of cool for any kind of future things I want to do. This is an easy way of doing this. And you end up with a nice cylinder of sponge. And as you can see, it's a nice solid joint there. I'm not pulling on it obviously too hard, but it's certainly more force than is going to be applied to it while it's rolling around on the drum. So that's definitely good enough. I don't think I really needed to do all that extra trying to round it out here, but yeah, you know, I was just kind of happy about it at that point. And as you can see here, this is my phone, which has much better resolution, and you can see that the two seams are right opposite each other, so it actually turned out really well. So at least I won't have that as something to worry about. So what I'm going to do now, like I said, this is not glued together, so it's just a matter of popping one end off. I'll slide the sponge over it, and then we'd have to, I'm going to get to the assembly that's going to hold this in place. I didn't bother filming any of that because, well, it is just a simple bracket I'm going to use. And after this is all done, of course, that is also going to be another decision that we're going to have to get around to. Deciding how this is going to sit in whatever it turns out that it's going to be. For the moment, it's just going to be a bracket that's just going to hold it above the water, and there's going to be a spray bar system, and that's going to allow it to run, and that's it. So there you go. It turns quite smoothly. Again, I have not adjusted the axle yet. I haven't run one of these before, so I want to run it first and see if there's too little friction, and we'll go from there. So this is the bracket I put together. It's just two sheets of acrylic, two holes for the axle, then two holes for the spray bar, offset of course, so that it will spray down on one side. And like I said, it was very easy to do, and you've seen me drill and glue lots, so I left that part out. And these two fittings here they're going to be how this bar here is going to rest between those, and it also is going to supply the extra support for this so that it will be held together properly. I'm not sure why I put this in, because I think you've seen me drill lots of holes too. I chose 1/4-inch holes because just a rough calculation in my head how much water the pump's going to put out, and I wanted to make sure it was relatively even, and this seemed to be a good idea in my head, so that's how that turned out. The neat thing about doing it this way is normally if I were putting it on a glass or something that's more rigid, I would have to reverse the fittings. I couldn't have the males on the inside because you have to deflect the material to get it inside, because it's just acrylic and there's a long gap between this side and the gap where it was glued. It actually was quite easy to put this on, and it holds it quite evenly. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is the female fittings are much bulkier, and there'll be part of the sponge wouldn't have water going on it, so I didn't want that either. So there you go. It goes on really easily. I mean, this part of the build was really straightforward. And now it's just a simple matter here of putting an end cap on one end, an elbow on the other, and then I just jury-rigged the pump onto it, and all I have to do now is put in the water wheel. I also made two quick little bushings, well, bearings, whatever you want to call them, for the two other holes you see there, simply because I wanted to make sure that when the bar goes through, these are them here, I wanted to make sure that it was even, so that there was any kind of weight on it was not skewed in any kind of angle. I want to keep things as true as possible. So I was going to go now is I'm going to put the drum in the middle, run the axle through, turn this vertical, and put it in the aquarium and turn it on. It's of the two, it's definitely going to be the easier of the builds. So this just fits right through here and just keeps it even, and that's all that really matters for that. It's not. Again, I think this is just me being a little too anal about this and making sure it's not, not any sort of excuses why it wouldn't work properly. So here it's vertical, ready to put in the aquarium. And as you can see, just a little touch with the finger and it runs easily. There's one more thing I wanted to show you before I get to running this, and that's the tank that it's going to sit in for for this week anyway. And that is this one here. This Matten filter has been running for a little while now, and I'm actually really happy with its with what it's doing. There's not a lot of fish in the tank, but there's a fair amount of plant matter, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever with it. I haven't had to touch it, which is expected. But I wanted to show this to you before I moved everything to the side and put this filter in it. So anyway, it's doing really well. I'm actually really happy with it, and the other Matten filter as well is doing really well. And I'll probably show that one to you in a little bit as well. So here we go. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to see it run. The funny thing about it, when I first turned it on, I said, oh, that's way too fast. Then I realized that initially, there's no water in the sponge. It was all dry, so it had no weight relative to what it's going to have. You'll see there'll be a kind of like it picks up speed a little bit, and it slows down. It picks up speed a little bit, slows down. Once it ran for about 4 or 5 minutes, all that went away. It'll be on the final clip. You'll see I used my phone for that because it has the better resolution. But anyway, I really like this. Let me know what you think of it. And next Wednesday, I will do the water wheel version, and then we'll have two to compare. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And here it is flowing here now. It's been running now for a few minutes. And as you can see, it actually runs at a good speed. And I think this is perfectly fine for this. Again, let me know what you think. And as you can see, the 1/4-inch holes worked out well. That's just a guesstimation, but it was kind of nice that did work out well. And there you go. Actually kind of happy with this one. But we'll see how the water wheel does. And again, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.